What is going on, guys? Welcome to the 3&D podcast, episode 1. I'm going to be completely honest, I was not expecting to get this upload to you guys today, but Kyrie Irving making news. We had this tweet right here from Sham saying, sources, Kyrie Irving Nets are at an impasse in conversations about his future in Brooklyn, clearing way for the 7-time All-Star to consider an open market. Lakers and Knicks expected to emerge among potential suitors. The first thing that comes to mind is, who do the Lakers have that they could even give up for Kyrie Irving? I don't see it, unless you're willing to package Anthony Davis in some way, shape, or form. If anybody out there could actually find me a trade that would work for the Nets, where Anthony Davis doesn't end up leaving the Lakers, then please comment that below, because I don't see it, you know what I mean? It also mentions the Knicks, but here's my thing with the Knicks and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving willingly chose the Brooklyn Nets over the Knicks, so I just don't know how that would work. I would understand why the Nets don't want to give Kyrie a 5-year max deal. I mean, can you blame the Nets for wanting to have someone that shows up no matter what? And I know the whole vaccine situation, it's kind of an iffy subject, and can't really blame Kyrie Irving for not wanting to get the vaccine if that's what he believes. But ultimately, that's part of the sacrifice, right? Get the vaccine so you could play for the team, and he opted into not doing that. Maybe the Nets are just not sold on Kyrie. This also leads me to wonder, what is Kevin Durant thinking right now? Is he potentially thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to play for the Brooklyn Nets if Kyrie Irving is not playing? I also wonder what LeBron James is thinking. Is Kyrie Irving someone that he would want to play with at this point in his career? Would he love to play with Kyrie Irving again? I mean, I think over Westbrook, most definitely. If you asked LeBron and he answered in a truthful way, I'm sure he would pick Kyrie Irving over Russell Westbrook. That's no secret. Just think offensively, Kyrie Irving is too skilled, from everywhere, from the outside, from the interior, free throw line. However you want to look at it, Kyrie Irving is just a much better offensive player than Russell Westbrook. Saw some people bringing up a Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook trade scenario. I don't see how that would even work. Russell Westbrook is making close to $10 million more on his contract per year. So they would need to give up another player, the Brooklyn Nets would, and I just don't see that happening. So the Lakers Kyrie situation, it sounds nice. It sounds nice on paper, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James together. But that's really a pipe dream. I don't see that happening, if I'm being honest. I'm trying to think of a possible team where Kyrie Irving could go, and it would just make sense as far as a trade. And I'm not really coming up with that team just yet. If anybody out there thinks that they know the perfect scenario for a Kyrie Irving Brooklyn Nets trade with another team, let me know, because I'm struggling to see it. Now, Kyrie Irving would obviously make any other team that's already competing a championship contender. He really would. But the thing is that it needs to make sense, right? For the other team that's giving up pieces to the Nets, it just needs to make sense. I'm also thinking, with this report coming out, has Kevin Durant okayed a Kyrie trade with the front office, with the GM possibly? They sat Kevin Durant down maybe and asked him. Maybe it's not that deep, you know what I mean? I really would love to know what Kevin Durant is thinking right now with this report coming out, where his head is at, really. Does he want to stay with the Nets? Does he not really care anymore? It's like he's okay with Kyrie moving on, and he's gonna try to carry the team. The Nets do have Ben Simmons. That does play a part in this whole equation. It really does. The Nets do have a playmaker. It's not like if they lose Kyrie, they're not gonna have someone to handle the ball and create. Like, Ben Simmons could be that guy. He's shown he could be that guy. He did that for the 76ers. So if Ben Simmons could just come back with a rejuvenated energy and is willing to be that guy for the Nets, then I could really see the Nets moving on from Kyrie, just thinking, look, man, we don't want to give you the max contract. We wish you the best, and we're willing to get these other pieces for you. Ultimately, I'm really just interested in seeing what happens with Kevin Durant after the dominoes fall, because this is going to be a domino effect that we're going to see here for the Brooklyn Nets. If Kyrie Irving ultimately gets traded, we got to see what happens with KD. Is he going to stay with the Nets and basically make it work with Ben Simmons? I'm trying to put myself in the GM seat for a second here and really analyze and think, would I really move on from Kyrie Irving? And I'm having a hard time. I really am. I'm having a hard time not paying Kyrie this money, because, dude, I just don't think you're going to get an equal value as far as a trade. Like, if you trade Kyrie Irving, who can you actually get out there that's going to fill those shoes. It's definitely disappointing the way that they went out. They got swept in the first round by the Boston Celtics. That was not okay. But I don't really put that on Kyrie, if I'm being honest. That's not Kyrie's fault. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks coming up here, especially with the NBA draft in a couple of days here. And here's another thing. I think if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you're trying to get rid of this situation as soon as possible. Whether it's coming to a deal with Kyrie or ultimately trading Kyrie, you don't want this to linger on throughout the whole offseason, because you want to know who's going to be there, you know, at the start of the season and basically going into camp. You want to know what your roster is looking like. So this is kind of a scenario where it's like, okay, let's not do this whole back and forth for the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, you know, right up to when the season starts. I'm sure the Nets are going to try to get this figured out. It was already bad enough having a whole season where Kyrie Irving was not really in the lineup or in and out. I may be wrong here, but I do think this situation is going to get worked out sooner rather than later. Just because of that whole scenario, that whole thing with Kyrie, it's like they want to know what's going to happen, period. It's almost like ripping off a Band-Aid. Let's get it over with. If we're going to trade him, let's do that now. If we're going to sign him, well, let's also get that out the way. I'm sure that at some point down the line here, we're going to get some more information as to what exactly they're not agreeing on as far as contract goes, or as far as what each side wants. But those details will come out and then we'll actually know what's going on. But yeah, guys, I'm actually going to go ahead and wrap up this episode right here. First one for the 3&D podcast, man. This Kyrie Irving situation, I definitely had to get a video out. And let me get you guys' opinions in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think the Brooklyn Nets should do. Should they try to keep Kyrie? Should they move on from Kyrie? What would you do if you were the GM? This really isn't an unexpected scenario, what's going on with Kyrie and the Nets. It makes sense for the Nets to be frustrated. And, you know, obviously Kyrie is always going to want what's best for him and his family and his well-being. So just this situation just makes sense on why it's going on. I just hope it gets resolved sooner rather than later, like I said, just because, you know, you don't want the team dealing with this for the next 3 months. Give me your thoughts on the Kyrie Irving Brooklyn Nets situation down below in the comments. I'm going to catch you guys on the next video, man. Episode 1 in the books. Let's go.